Yo, what's going on, everybody? You are watching Vikings Now by Chat Sports as we here are live here on the first Monday of the NFL offseason, breaking down the latest around your Minnesota Vikings. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to be first starting off with an article from Alec Lewis as he pretty much opened the door to everything being on the table for the Minnesota Vikings at the quarterback position. They could go big, they could bring in that veteran, or they could just bring in a guy like Marcus Mariota. They will try to do everything they can to improve that quarterback room. So we'll talk about that. Then I do want to talk about some draft targets I have for the Minnesota Vikings. They are slotted in at pick number 18 officially for the 2026 NFL Draft. So we'll talk about who they can select. But the season wrapped up, and it was obviously, disappointing from a Vikings fan's perspective. You went 9-8. And, we did have some high expectations heading into the season. But you guys let me know this. What is your biggest takeaway from the Vikings season? As Daniel Sharp saying, this organization has tried everything, and it's never worked once. Just stay with the kid. Ravens Rundown made a video on Flores. That's unfortunate. I got to talk to my guy, Joey Peterson, to stop putting that out there in the universe. Pick 18 is gross. Yeah, pick 18, not ideal. But there are some good draft prospects. I do think actually the meat of the first round of the NFL draft, at least just looking at it right now, again, the draft is still a couple months away, but there's some good prospects there. And also, there was an interesting quote from Ben Lieber I want to talk about today, talking about J.J. McCarthy. He wasn't the biggest fan of J.J. taking himself out of the game, and I kind of agree with him. Just the optics of that weren't fantastic. And Cohen Banks saying, do you think Jeremiyah Love can fall to us? At least every mock draft I'm looking at, probably not. I mean, some people got him going as high as 8. The lowest I've seen is around 14, 15, but we'll see. And Cameron saying team came alive too late in the season. Yeah, team, Vikings go 4-8, and then you end the season on a 5-game winning streak, the most Viking season of all time. As Lego Fellow was saying, he's going to be a Chief. Yeah, I've seen the Chiefs Jeremiah Love mocked the Chiefs a whole lot. Owen, yeah, another video will be coming out later tonight. If we want Love enough, we'll trade up. I do have a trade that I do want to talk to you guys about during the second segment. It involves Jordan Addison, and it does have the Vikings potentially acquiring Caleb Downs. But let's look towards next year. The Vikings opponents were released here, and here's the home and road opponents. You obviously got the divisional opponents for both home and road there, but then at home, you got the Falcons, Panthers, Commanders, Bills, Dolphins, and Colts. I would probably say all of those are winnable. It depends on what's going on in Buffalo, but especially the Falcons, Panthers, Dolphins, Colts, and Commanders. Those are 5 very winnable games at home. And then on the road, the Saints, the Buccaneers, the Jets, the Patriots, and the Niners. The Saints, Buccaneers, and Jets, those are extremely winnable as well. So, this season was kind of a gauntlet with that schedule for the Minnesota Vikings, but next season, not bad. Now, what is frustrating here is the Vikings jumping to 3rd in the division changed a lot. Instead of the Niners on the road, we would have had the Arizona Cardinals. And instead of the Commanders at home, we would have had the New York Giants. And then instead of the Colts at home, we would have had the Tennessee Titans. So could you imagine if the Vikings had the Falcons, Panthers, Giants, Titans, and Dolphins all at home next season? That is just handing the Vikings 5 wins if they just do the correct things this offseason. So I think the Vikings have a chance to bounce back, get back in the playoffs. Obviously not going to speculate too much on my record prediction right now, but very, very gettable schedule here. But I do want to dive into what we want to talk about on today's show, and it's all around J.J. McCarthy on the first segment here. Should J.J. McCarthy be QB1 next season? You guys let me know your thoughts. Give me a Y for yes or an N for no down below. Now, I don't really have a take on this just yet. I'm not going to lie. I think the fan base, I just want to see the poll that it put out. Yeah, it's about 50-50, and I'm kind of in between. But I will say I'm almost leaning towards no. And the biggest reason for that is J.J. McCarthy just feels too childish to me right now to be the for sure QB1 of this team. And obviously he's a young kid. He's going to turn, I think his birthday is actually tomorrow when he turns 23 years old. But I just don't know if he's cut out right now to be a QB1 of an NFL franchise. Now, can he develop into that? I surely think so. I misjudged him coming out of college. I thought he was going to be more pro-ready than I thought. And I think the injuries have really derailed him. And I think him almost becoming the meme and the joke of the NFL world. I think that's also derailed his confidence a little bit, but he is just pretty childish to me, and I don't think you can be childish or be seen as immature and be a starting quarterback in the NFL, especially a starting quarterback where you're not on a bad team. You're not playing for a bad organization. You're playing for an organization that, yes, have the Vikings ever been great? No, but they've always been serviceable. Like the Vikings, I mean, the last 20 years, I just saw the stat. The Vikings have only selected in the top 10 4 different times. I am leaning towards no on this. If I had, pick who I want to be QB1 next season, but the only thing is like, who's going to come in and replace him? Like, I'm not picking, like, if it's J.J. McCarthy or Mac Jones, I'm picking J.J. McCarthy. If it's J.J. McCarthy or Baker Mayfield, I'm probably picking Baker Mayfield for next season. If it's J.J. McCarthy or Kyler Murray, probably leaning J.J. McCarthy, but we'll see. And then if it's obviously J.J. McCarthy or Stafford, Burrow, or Lamar, I'm obviously taking those three. But listen, this is an interesting conversation. I don't think there is any correct answer here. And listen, I'm the biggest J.J. McCarthy guy out there. He's from my hometown. We went to the same high school. I would be rooting for him. This is nothing personal against him. I just think with the direction of this franchise right now, it's just he just feels too immature and he doesn't feel ready. Like, yes, he has shown flashes, and we'll do a whole segment on him. Shout out to Mary coming in with the $5 super chat. Appreciate you, Mary. If everybody could show Mary some love. Off-season content is here. I was saying yesterday on the watch party, if you guys are tuning in, you guys are some sickos, and Mary's tuning in. So shout out to Mary. If you want to show Mary some love down below in the live chat, give me a skull, Mary, down below. Really do appreciate it, Mary. Thank you so much. But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards no right now. If I want J.J. McCarthy QB1 next season, but again, it comes down to who do you want to replace him. Like, I'm not going to a Mac Jones. I'm not going to like, oh, the Vikings are starting Marcus Mariota next season. Like, I think that's ludicrous. But if a guy like Baker's available, I don't know who else could be out there. I mean, we could get a rumor out there at any time. I think Baker's that one sneaky option that I think Vikings fans should, keep your eyes on. As Troy saying Joe Burrow sucks. I disagree with you. I think Joe Burrow's still fantastic. Jesse saying you never know, Pat. He could end up being Caleb Williams because Caleb Williams stunk his first year, and look at what he did this year, especially if him and Jefferson built some chemistry in the offseason. And you're fully right. Like, I'm not saying J.J. McCarthy can't be a good quarterback next season. I just think he has a long ways to go. I just don't think the guys in the locker room view him as a leader, and I don't think he's a guy that can really rally the team around him. I almost think they view like they got to carry J.J. McCarthy. And I think if you want to reach the mountaintop of the NFL, I think you do have to have your quarterback be that leader. He's kind of got to have some machismo to him. He's got to have some alphaness where like the guys view him as like almost like a dog. You know what I mean? Like they got to be ready to go to war with him. I'm sure they really like J.J. McCarthy, as a person, but there's just been too much conversation. And you know why I also view J.J. McCarthy as a little immature and childish? If you hear Kevin O'Connell, if you hear Justin Jefferson talk, they use the word kid with him too much. When you're talking about J.J. McCarthy, I mean, I call him a kid all the time. And I'm only 4 years older than him. A lot of people, like when you hear this teammates talk, oh, he's a kid, we got to support him. And he is a kid. Like he's 22 years old, but I just don't know if he's ready right now. And that's why it's looking back at the decision this offseason. I thought he was going to be ready as a young man in this league, but he's injury prone. He has been very inconsistent throwing the football, so we'll see. Thoughts on Jefferson not wanting Joe? Joe Burrow? Xander, I feel like Justin Jefferson will 100% want Joe Burrow to be his quarterback. Oh, JJ on stream? And yeah, that's also something about JJ McCarthy. Like the quote of Jefferson saying like, oh, if I have JJ McCarthy on stream, you guys are just going to get on him. He's like, I got to protect my youngins. So it's like they view J.J. McCarthy as a little brother. Like, you think the guys in the Bears locker room view Caleb Williams as their little brother? Yeah, he's a younger guy on the team, but they don't view him as that. Like, Caleb Williams seems like a grown-ass man. Like, I feel like they view J.J. McCarthy. He just comes off as very immature. He comes off as very childish to me. And again, if you want to reach that mountaintop in the NFL, I don't think your quarterback can be childish or can be immature. And I think the perfect example of J.J. showing some immaturity yesterday was, listen, I love the stiff arm play, and also shout out to scoliosis, saying he needs some milk. Shout out to you, Brody. Appreciate you sending a $2 super chat. He definitely does. But I think the play where he did show his immaturity was when he was escaping the right. He had that stiff arm. Then he just tried to throw his shoulder into a Packers DB, and he starts talking noise. It's like, dude, have some self-awareness here. You've been injury prone your entire NFL career. You haven't done anything in the NFL, and you're lowering your shoulder and talking noise to a DB where that DB is going to be in the playoffs and your butt is at home. And the reason your butt is at home is because of you not staying healthy, because of the inconsistent quarterback play you have had. So could he develop this offseason? Could he take huge strides? Could he grow up a ton? Abso-freaking-lutely. I'm just leaning towards moving off. Not moving off JJ, but maybe having him sit one more year. That's okay. Bring in a stopgap guy. You know what? My dream scenario this offseason would be the Vikings somehow land Matthew Stafford. And Matthew Stafford's a quarterback for one more year. You know, maybe he wants to go out on top. He understands the system. Kevin O'Connell, you know, he understands how to throw the superstar wide receiver in Justin Jefferson. He knows that system, but I don't know. I'm just Seep's turning heel here. No, I'm not turning heel. I'm just thinking about this team, and I just don't know if, like, next season, like, do you really want to roll this J.J. McCarthy experiment out where he is QB1? Like, I don't think bringing in competition of a Marcus Mariota or a Kirk Cousins is truly enough. Like, I think they really need to get aggressive. I'm talking the Baker Mayfields, the Kyler Murrays, obviously the big three of Burrow, Lamar, Stafford. If either of those three are out there on the table, you do what you can to go get them. Wemby is 22 also. Wemby is way more mature beyond his years compared to J.J. McCarthy. Look at their numbers. Genius. Caleb Williams last year was much better than McCarthy and also didn't miss half the season. Yeah, that's also a good point. It's also Caleb Williams. The dude's strong as an ox. I mean, you look at Caleb Williams' legs. I mean, the dude's built up. Who do you think should be MVP, Stafford or May? I think it's 50-50 for me. I don't really have a too strong opinion. I would give it to Drake May. I just think the support system around May compared to Stafford is, I mean, it's night and day. I mean, Diggs is a fine wide receiver. But also, like, Drake May's got Josh McDaniels calling his plays. Not the greatest group of weapons, and Stafford's throwing the Puka Nacua. Was throwing for Devontae Adams most of the year. But I think it's about even there. I'm a grown man. I'm 50. Anywhere from 20 to 32, you're still considered a youngin' because men don't seem to mature until they're in their 40s. Yeah, and I also, I agree with that. But in the NFL, you kind of have to grow up quick. And I feel like JJ, that's one part of just him and his personality where it feels like he is very, very immature. Do we draft a QB? I don't think so. There are some deep internet rumors about Kevin O'Connell having a love affair with Dante Moore, but we'll see. Wemby went to go hang out with the Monks, send JJ to the Monks. Well, if JJ went to the Monks, his press conferences would get worse and worse. This dude already talks like he's writing a philosophy novel every time he's talking up there to the media. It's also his press conferences. Somebody needs to send him to some media training here. He just gets too philosophical. What is your obsessive just age? Caleb Williams is vastly more gifted player than McCarthy. Age has nothing to do with it. I agree with you. Caleb Williams is way more talented than J.J. McCarthy. I'm not really talking about age. I'm talking about the maturity level between J.J. McCarthy and Caleb. Caleb is way more mature than McCarthy. The way he plays, the way he handles himself. No, Jesse, I agree with you, but also you weren't an NFL starting quarterback at J.J. McCarthy's age. He is. Like, he has to grow up quick. Dude, that press interview was hilariously embarrassing. Yeah, I didn't love it. I didn't love it. And also, if I don't love it and you don't love it and some Vikings fans don't love it, I'm sure there's some guys in the locker room that hear McCarthy talk and they're like, what are you saying? Hey, you're the reason we're not here. You're the reason we're not playing next weekend. All right, so I do want to talk about this. If you guys could, hit that thumbs up icon. We got 140 people in the building. We got a lot to talk about around J.J. McCarthy and this whole Vikings quarterback situation. So I'll give you guys my full thoughts. Lot to talk about. So if you guys could, hit that thumbs up icon. First day of the NFL offseason. It's going to be a hectic next couple of months, and we're going to disagree with each other. There's going to be a lot of great conversations here on this YouTube channel. So I appreciate all of you guys tuning in, taking time of your day. Can't wait to dive into it. Hit that thumbs up icon, and let's talk about it. One of the top Vikings beat reporters, Alec Lewis, dropped a very interesting article talking about some of the Vikings' plans at the quarterback position. I want to give you guys my thoughts coming up on today's edition of Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman. Appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. So this is what Alec Lewis had to say on the Vikings quarterback plan. He said, little is off the table in terms of how aggressive the Vikings will be, according to multiple team and league sources. So pretty much Alec Lewis is saying that the Vikings will pretty much do anything at the quarterback position. Will they be just a tiny bit aggressive or will they be ultra aggressive? They will pretty much do it all. They will do their due diligence and leave no stone unturned here, and they will try to find whatever answer they can to seriously upgrade that quarterback room. But I think the root of this quarterback issue with the Minnesota Vikings is obviously J.J. McCarthy. So I ask you guys this. Should J.J. McCarthy be QB1 next season for the Minnesota Vikings? Want to get the pulse of the fan base on this one? Give me a Y for yes or give me an N for no. We'll sneak peek into my answer to this question. I don't have too strong of an opinion right now. I'm going to still, look into it a little more and let my thoughts marinate, but I am leaning towards no, and this doesn't mean I'm saying J.J. McCarthy can't be the guy in the future. He is a bust. I'm not saying that at all. I just think for the 2026 season, I actually think it would benefit the Vikings and J.J. McCarthy if you potentially bring in a guy that can start all 17 games next season and let this guy just kind of work behind the scenes, let him develop a little more, let him become a little more mature. But you guys, let me know your thoughts. Should J.J. McCarthy be QB1 next season? All right, Alec Lewis also said in this article, shout out to Alec, by the way, this was some great stuff, saying, whatever the answers are, the Vikings are going to be proactive in trying to lift the quarterback room to a playoff caliber level. McCarthy's role will hinge on what else is available, as well as his offseason growth in the relevant physical, mental, and emotional areas that he himself cited Sunday evening. And I really believe this. I think the Vikings are going to be ultra aggressive at the quarterback market this offseason. I think they're going to do whatever they can to get a serious upgrade at that quarterback position. Because I thought it was interesting that Alec Lewis said right there at a playoff caliber level. Because maybe he's hearing something that people in that organization, no matter how good this Vikings team is around J.J. McCarthy, no matter how good this coaching staff is, maybe they just view J.J. McCarthy as a guy where it's like, it doesn't matter how good we are. He's not good enough right now to get us to that level. And I think I would agree with whoever that may be leaking that to Alec. Because this year with McCarthy, yes, he has shown flashes. Yes, he has made some great plays. And yes, there are certain plays you can kind of hang your hat on and be like, all right, there's something there. But the most concerning part about this graphic you see on screen right now is the top left. The guy played in 10 games this season. He finished 8 of them. We know he's inaccurate with the football. A 57.6 completion percentage, 1,600 yards, 15 touchdowns, 14 total turnovers, passer rating of 72.6 in PFF, graded him out, having 19 big-time throws and 15 turnover-worthy plays. And also I thought this was interesting from Kevin O'Connell. KOC after the game yesterday said, I think he's improved throughout the season. I think he's grown. But this part right here was interesting to me. He said, like a lot of young quarterbacks do throughout the season. And maybe I'm looking too much into this, but this was pretty telling from Kevin O'Connell. Because, yes, he was showing J.J. some love, saying, yes, he has improved throughout the season. But it almost felt like that was a little backhanded of a compliment, where him saying, I think he's grown, but like a lot of young quarterbacks do throughout the season. Like, I almost wonder if he's saying, like, all right, yeah, J.J. has taken strides, but every quarterback takes strides. Like, thank God he took strides. Most quarterbacks do. So I thought that was pretty telling from Kevin O'Connell, and their relationship has just seemed off this entire season. And even when he's giving him a compliment, it's kind of seemed a little backhanded. But my takeaways from J.J. McCarthy year one. We obviously all know about the mechanics issues. I don't want to get too much into that. I'm not a quarterback guru. I don't know the exact, ins and outs of the mechanics of the quarterback position. But we all know that's an issue. But this part I want to focus in on here real quick. He feels immature. And I don't think you can reach the mountaintop of the NFL with a quarterback who feels childish and feels immature. Because J.J. McCarthy, too many times this season, whether it's him during a press conference, whether it's him doing that mean mugging in that locker room, or whether it's just his reckless play style, he plays immature and he plays childish. And he's 22 years old. Can you really blame him for that? But he's also an NFL starting quarterback. You got to be more grown than your age is. Yes, he's 22. I mean, I'm sure most of you guys watching, what were you doing when you were 22? Probably nothing great. Like, J.J. McCarthy, like, it's unfair to him, but he has to be more mature than he's shown so far. And I wonder if he feels immature than me, if he feels immature to a lot of you guys probably watching the show right now, how does he feel to the guys in that locker room? Now, I think that's a negative, but there's also been positives. He has shown a lot of flashes. I mean, that one throw against the Green Bay Packers when he's rolling out to his right, throws a frozen rope down the right sideline to Ben Sims, it was fantastic. As we know, the durability issues and kind of him kind of speaking back to the, I don't know if the immaturity plays a factor in it, but he feels shaky in the pocket. Like, he doesn't feel like he's got a ton of confidence in himself and a ton of great feel. So these are my 5 biggest takeaways, but something on the immaturity here. Former Vikings linebacker Ben Lieber kind of spoke to a situation and a sequence he didn't like from this Packers game. It was when J.J. McCarthy took himself out of the game after the first play of the second half. He says, I don't love it. I know that there are situations where you might not be able to. You might have to alert the training staff and say, hey, something's going on. Something doesn't feel right. So there are some certain circumstances where you'll be like, yeah, I need this looked at. But to pull yourself off mid-series after one pass play in which it seemed everything was fine in the second half of the game when it seemed like you were throwing the ball fine, I don't love the optics of it. I don't love what it kind of means for him. I mean, for a guy that has battled injuries and has this mark on him as far as a reputation of not being healthy, I agree with Lieber. I don't love the look of that. And I think JJ needs to grow up fast, one, for his future in the NFL, but for this Vikings organization. Like, I really don't like that look. And I'm shocked I didn't really notice it during the game, but when you really think about it, it's like the dude's calling off to the sideline, be like, hey, I can't play anymore after one throw. Like, that was it. He's like, I got to take myself out of the game. I don't love the optics of it. Like, it does kind of make him seem soft. And also, I think J.J. McCarthy knows there is a soft narrative around him because still that play, when he tried to lower his shoulder into a DB, and listen, some people loved it. Some people are like, oh, J.J. McCarthy's showing how tough he is. J.J. McCarthy's playing with that confidence, playing with that swagger. I thought it was just flat out idiotic for him to do that. You have battled injuries throughout this entire season. This is a meaningless Week 18 game. What are you trying to prove? You're playing the Packers' second stringers, and you're trying to lower your shoulder, and then you're talking noise after. The kid's just got to grow up. And I really do believe this. If J.J. McCarthy in June and July is the no doubt QB1 for Week 1 next season, something went wrong this offseason. Whether that means, hey, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Matthew Stafford, none of those guys are available, a Baker Mayfield, one of these quarterbacks that would be a serious upgrade over J.J. McCarthy, something went wrong. Because I think at bare minimum next season, there has to be a QB competition. I'm not talking about a fake QB competition where it's like the Vikings bringing Marcus Mariota and say, hey, it's going to be Mariota and McCarthy battling out. They can't do that. That would be a screw you to this fan base if that is a situation. So there needs to be some serious upgrades at the quarterback position. It's the most important position in all of sports. And this kid, can he be something when he's 24, 25 years old? Potentially. I'm not, writing him completely off, but I just think for next season, Vikes got to try to get an upgrade. So, this is going to be a crazy offseason, and appreciate all of you guys tuning in and watching today's show. But if you guys could hit that subscribe button today. In the month of December, we picked up 935 subs. I'm going to try to challenge you guys to beat that here in January. So if you guys could hit that subscribe button today, would really, really appreciate it. We're actually closing in on 69,000 subs right now. So hit that subscribe button and help us reach our next milestone of 69K. All right, coming up here in just a second, I do want to talk about some superstar Vikings QB targets, where I got 3 guys, Burrow, Lamar, and Stafford. and why these possibly could be on the table, and why the Vikings need to seriously consider going all in on one of these three guys. But before we do so, I want to give a massive, massive shout out to Factor Meals, today's sponsor. And if you guys head to factormeals.com/VikingsChat50 off and use promo code VikingsChat50 off, we'll hook you guys up with 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. And it's the new year, which means big goals. And if you guys have no time to cook, well, Factor makes it easy with fully prepared meals designed by dietitians and crafted by chefs so you can eat well without the shopping or cooking. And why I love Factor, they have no refined sugars, no artificial sweeteners, no refined seed oils. They have meals that fit your goals and schedule. Healthier eating, calorie management, more protein, and they have 100 rotating weekly meals. I absolutely love the blackened salmon you guys see on screen right now. That's one of my favorites. Also, the Texas cheddar burger. That one is absolutely delicious as well. So you guys give them a chance. They got calorie smart, Mediterranean diet, and a GLP-1 support, and they're all ready to eat right away. So head to factormeals.com/VikingsChat50 off and plug in promo code VikingsChat50 off to get 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. This offer is only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase. Make healthier eating easy with Factor. All right, let's talk about these superstar quarterback targets for the Minnesota Vikings now. We're going to start off here talking about the Ravens quarterback, Lamar Jackson, because a lot of you guys might be saying, well, Patrick, if you want the Vikings, to potentially not have J.J. McCarthy be the starter next season, well, who are we going to bring in? And a lot of these are very far-fetched. And I think the biggest kicker here with Lamar Jackson is his contract. He's got a cap hit of $74 million over the next 2 seasons. So in this la-la land of the Vikings potentially trading for him, you probably trade for Lamar, give him a contract extension, backload a lot of that money, but there's no doubt that changes are coming in Baltimore. Tyler Loop missing that field goal last night kind of creaked that door open of Lamar possibly leaving the Ravens. And even though this feels like a pipe dream, if the Ravens brass had to choose between John Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson, I'm assuming they're choosing Lamar. I mean, even Lamar yesterday, you would just see a couple of plays and it's like, all right, that guy's got that superstar ability. I mean, that one play where Alex Highsmith came free, step up in the pocket, pointed to Zay Flowers, go downfield, just drop the ball straight in the breadbasket. It was a high-level play by Lamar Jackson. We could talk about the scheme fit with Kevin O'Connell. I'll tell you what, Kevin O'Connell, if you trade for Lamar Jackson, screw your scheme, change it. Like, this guy's a superstar talent, top 5 quarterback in the world right now, and I think almost, like, if a change of scenery would almost help a guy like Lamar Jackson out. You play with Justin Jefferson, play with Jordan Addison, play with a great defense led by Brian Flores. Lamar Jackson, take this team to the top. But also another guy they'll love to have, and, it's got to be Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, he has almost started acting like an NBA superstar this year, where he's starting to get a little cryptic in his press conferences. There's something going on in Cincinnati. And now the Bengals have said earlier today that they're going to retain their whole brass, the head coach, the GM, and everything. But there was a video of Joe Burrow walking off the field yesterday where he was kind of taking a moment. And he's looking around the Bengals stadium, and he was just kind of soaking it all in. Maybe I'm looking too much into it. But it almost looked like Burrow, he wanted to have that moment for himself. Maybe he's retiring. I mean, I don't know. But it was like a weird moment that was going on. But Jeremy Rauch tweeting this out saying Joe Burrow took several moments to stop and take it all in before leaving the field today. Post-game, he called the Bengals 2026 offseason the biggest of his career. On upcoming conversations with the front office, he says, I think for the most part, we're on the same page. I think for the most part. Again, just leaving that door open. I think Burrow and Lamar are unlikely, but both those doors are just creaked open a little bit. And I'm going to call my shot here. And I don't necessarily mean this is for the Minnesota Vikings. I don't necessarily mean this is Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson. I think this NFL offseason is going to be absolutely mad. And I think there is going to be a massive QB trade this offseason. I think it just also depends on how massive. Are we talking the level of a Burrow or Lamar? Or are we talking maybe a level of a Baker Mayfield being dealt? What if a guy like Justin Herbert? I don't know who it is. I don't know which team could be trading for which quarterback. But my shot call right now is that there will be a massive QB trade this offseason. We're just going to have to wait and see how big that trade truly is. Now, number 3 here, got to talk about Matthew Stafford. And I think last year, us Vikings fans, when we were talking about Aaron Rodgers completely coming back, or not coming back, but coming to the Minnesota Vikings, we all kind of used a comparison to Brett Favre in 2009. This would be Brett Favre in 2009. Or Matthew Stafford, let's just say, the Rams, they lose in the divisional round to the Seattle Seahawks or, potentially the Bears or the Eagles. And maybe the Rams are saying to themselves, you know what, Stafford, it was great. We won a Super Bowl, but we want to go get younger at the quarterback position. We got 2 first-round picks next season. We're going to try to trade up in the draft and maybe get a guy like Dante Moore. We're going to go send you to another team. Because there's also, remember last offseason, there were some contract disputes between them. There was a potential that Stafford could, potentially leave. And I think the Vikings would make a lot of sense. He understands O'Connell's system. He would obviously love to play with Jefferson and Jordan Addison. I think Stafford, if I had to choose out of all 3 of those, I think Burrow would be number 1 just because I think Burrow, you get the longevity, too, of, you would have a franchise quarterback for, hopefully 7 to 8 more years. But out of Stafford and Lamar, I think I would go Stafford because this would be perfect for McCarthy. You have Stafford be the quarterback next season, maybe even the next 2 seasons. You get some high-level quarterback play. Vikings would be competing for Super Bowls, and you'll let J.J. learn from them. I think I would pick Stafford over Lamar in terms of one guy to bring in this offseason. It would kind of really feel like Brett Favre back in 2009. So, hey, we appreciate all of you guys tuning in to today's quarterback show. And if you guys made it to the end, hit me the skull down below in the comment section. Appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. We'll get on out of here. As always, Skull Vikes. Alrighty, what's going on, everyone? Had some super chats rolling there during the cut. Got 177 people watching. Appreciate all of you guys for taking time and joining. So no Joe Burrow? Who knows? Who knows? There's Mary coming back in. What's going on, Mary? Saying we need someone who can play ball, not hold a seat. Yeah, I mean, that's why I've been saying, whatever your thoughts are on J.J. McCarthy, the biggest concern with him is his injury history, and it's his ability to stay on the football field because you can't develop just in practice or just behind the scenes. If you want to develop just like anything in life, you need, reps, and especially being an NFL football player, you need live in-game reps. And if he can't stay healthy, it's definitely an issue. And I think that's, whatever you think of him as a quarterback, Mary, it's really irrelevant if he can't stay healthy. Because if he can't stay healthy, all of this is meaningless, and he'll never be able to develop. But Mary, I do appreciate you supporting the show. Send that $2 super chat. And same with my guy Josh coming in saying we able to afford those 3 QBs, Flacco QB2 and JJ McCarthy QB1. Talking about Burrow, Lamar, and Stafford. See, that's where it gets tricky with the Vikings situation. But again, I think everybody. I think everybody kind of overreacts to the cap space situation because what if the Vikings move off Grenard? What if Grenard's in the deal for Joe Burrow? You could also cut a TJ Hawkinson. You can, move off a Hargrave. You can move off an Allen. You can extend these quarterbacks, backload these contracts. There are answers to these cap problems where it's not like with the NBA where it's like it almost feels like the NBA has even a harder cap than the NFL right now. Where it's like there are workarounds for these NFL contracts. Never say never in this league. I mean, the Saints, every single offseason, they go into each year $40, $50 million in the hole, and they get out of it. Now, eventually, they will have to pay that bill, and they've started paying that bill. But the Vikings can manipulate the cap, where if they really want to get any 3 of those guys, they can. You saying Flacco QB2 and J.J. McCarthy QB1? I would not be the biggest fan of it. That's you're banking on. You are really banking on McCarthy then. If you rolling with him as QB1 next season, and that's why I just feel like it's not going to happen. I would be shocked if J.J. McCarthy's QB1 next season. I really would. And we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. Can we get Jeremiyah Love in the draft? We'll talk about Jeremiyah Love. I think it's probably unlikely, but we'll see. We'll talk about him during our draft targets video. Shedeur is a realistic, good rookie with big potential. Shedeur Sanders might be the worst quarterback in the NFL besides Brady Cook and Max Brosmer. Hopefully our left tackle comes back healthy next season. Christian and Donovan plays the way he played the next year. Yeah, Christian Darrisaw, Donovan Jackson. I'm excited to see that left side of the offensive line develop. That should be good. This ain't football related, but how do you make Kool-Aid? Cohen Banks, what are you asking? Ledger Schnapp saying, "LOL." Stefanski is gone. Stefanski is gone. Shador is the best in his division. Shador over JJ all day. As an elite offseason question, how do you make Kool-Aid? I'm with you, Lego Fo. JJ's college coach didn't want him to play didn't want him to play for him in the pros. Well, also Harbaugh is walking into Justin Herbert, so I don't necessarily think that's true. What about Trey Lance and Tyrod Taylor this offseason? That would be a failure of an offseason. Do we draft a center? I don't know. It's Dale. What's going on, Dale? You're always tuning in. Appreciate you, man. Always drama with the Vikings. Yeah. Do you think Justin Jefferson really wants J.J. McCarthy? I don't. I think I am, again, all speculation. I bet you Kevin O'Connell and Justin Jefferson have had conversations already in terms of the quarterback plan for next season. I bet you they both want a different quarterback. And I bet you Kevin O'Connell, and maybe Kwesi was in this conversation as well, as he probably should be. I bet you they're going to do everything they can where J.J. McCarthy is not the no-doubt QB1 next season. Do I think Jefferson wants Joe Burrow? Absolutely. Why would we bring in a backup in Trey Lance that hasn't proven anything? I'm talking about a backup journeyman and Tyrod Taylor. Yeah, I mean, you can. I just don't think that's improving the quarterback room too much. Jefferson, make it happen. Get us Burrow, please. I'm with you. Sure, just beat Burrow with second-string players. If your takeaway from that Bengals-Browns game was that Shedeur Sanders outplayed Joe Burrow, I don't even know if we can have a conversation about football. I wasn't glazing JJ preseason and mostly defended him up until the final game. I think we're stuck with him or a marginal vet next year. Listen, the Vikings very well could be stuck with JJ McCarthy for next season. Like me saying they're going to be aggressive listen, it takes two to tango. You can be as aggressive as you want, but if nobody's biting on your offers, if no quarterbacks want to come here, I fully believe that still, but it's going to take two to dance. You go trade for Brock Purdy. Niners wouldn't do that. Brock Purdy's too valuable to the Niners. I'd like Herbert, trade JJ to the Chargers. Chargers aren't getting rid of Herbert. We need to get Addison the ball more. Yeah, we do. I mean, Addison, it felt like he's been hurt the whole season. He barely got the football. Why did he barely get the football? It's because you need an upgrade at the quarterback position. Yeah, that's why we trade Addison to the Ravens. I wish the Bengals needed a wide receiver so we could dangle Addison as bait. Now let the Bro Show start. I can't do another Brosmer game. The Vikings should be embarrassed about Justin Jefferson's season, and that's why I think they will be ultra aggressive in getting a quarterback this offseason. You could see the frustration in Jets and Addison's face this season. Do you think Jets and Addison will stay with us after the season? It depends on what they do at the quarterback spot. Jack Jackson, I can't tell if you're trolling about Shedeur Sanders. Every stat analytic you pull up on Shedeur, he is dead last in the National Football League. Brady Cook's down there. I mean, I bet you Shedeur's last. I know PFF, their quarterback rankings are a little fluky. Shedeur Sanders is 42nd out of 42nd in terms of quarterbacks on PFF. Passing grade, 42nd out of 42nd, or 42. Should Vikings go younger at the running back position? Yeah, I just wish they used Jordan Mason a little more this year. Vikings get Stafford for just 1 year. Do you think JJ will learn a lot? I do. I think that would be extremely advantageous for JJ McCarthy because also, like, you think about what JJ is, he just needs to grow up. And maybe that takes another year under his belt to, really do that. All right, enough Shedeur Sanders talk. All right, we're going to dive into these draft targets here. You want to check that player 03? I accidentally typed out 10. I appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. Going to be a very fun offseason covering the Vikings. I'm excited to do it. I am leaning towards the Vikings doing whatever they can where JJ is not the starter next season. Should we trade Addison for Deshaun Watson? Yeah, totally, Branch. I think that sounds like a good idea. What would you do if we roll with McCarthy and we start 1-5? All right. The Vikings roll out J.J. McCarthy as QB1 next season, and they're 1-5 to start with the schedule they have. Justin Jefferson, the trade rumors around his name at that deadline next year will be extremely hot. Who was the Bills QB2? He looked good. Again, that's the Jets curve. Any tape against the Jets in December at the quarterback position, you just can't take it serious. And that's Mitch Trubisky. Mitch, hey, why not bring Mitch? Mitch wouldn't be terrible. Yeah. What about the Passionaut, Jaron Hall, Kellen Mond? No, no, and no. Alrighty. We're going to talk about some draft targets. Vikings are locked in to pick number 18. So we'll talk about 5 guys here and talk about the 2026 NFL draft. The Vikings are officially picking number 18 in the 2026 NFL draft. And coming up on today's edition of Vikings Now, we'll be looking at 5 draft targets from Minnesota. My name is Patrick Siepman, and welcome into Vikings Now. So here's the official 2026 NFL draft order. The Las Vegas Raiders ended up getting the number 1 overall pick, followed by the Jets, Cardinals, Titans. Then you had the Browns, Commanders, Saints, and it is crazy that the Kansas City Chiefs are slotted in there at number 9, but they have the Bengals rounding out the top 10 after their 6-11 season. But now the draft gets a little weird. You have the Miami Dolphins slotted with the 11th overall pick, the Dallas Cowboys at number 12, and then shout out to the Atlanta Falcons for trading their first-round pick to the Los Angeles Rams, giving them the 13th overall pick, and the Ravens at 14. It is crazy. The Vikings had a season from hell, and the Vikings, they're picking behind the Ravens and the Chiefs, which is nuts. And then you had the Buccaneers, 8-9. Jets had that pick from the from the Indianapolis Colts, and the Lions and the Vikings both at 9 and 8 at 17 and 18. So we can start looking at some top positions of need for the Vikings, and these are just my personal opinion on these. You guys could have, a different opinion here, but I think the number 1 position need for the Vikes is the safety position. Then I'll go number 2 corner overall here. You see, clearly got to add some talent to the secondary. I think tight end, a sneaky position of need for the Vikes. I'm going to go inside linebacker. Now, I think Eric Wilson, Blake Cashman both had solid seasons. I think you might need to get younger there. Eric Wilson was fantastic, but you're really banking on him doing that again. I wouldn't mind maybe the Vikings looking at some of these guys in the draft, and then I'm going to have defensive tackle at number 5. But you guys let me know. I think this could have multiple answers as what is the biggest position of need for the Minnesota Vikings. If you say safety, corner, any of the 5 I listed, I could hear you out. So you guys let me know your thoughts. What is the biggest position of need for the Vikings? All right, before we dive into my 5 draft targets, I think I have a hot take for you guys. I'm curious to see what you guys have to say. I think the Vikings should try to trade Jordan Addison and their first-round pick and move up and draft Caleb Downs. And this isn't even a shot at Addison. This is more love for Caleb Downs. I think he is the best player in this draft class by a wide margin. And I think he would be a hell of a fit with Brian Flores. This guy's a hell of a tackler. He's got great instincts. He was starting as a freshman at Alabama. He played every snap there, and he was also returning punts. He's just naturally a gifted football player. He's not just a safety. He's not just a defensive player. He's a really, really good football player. You could see it when this guy, he'll have an interception, and he just turns into a running back. And you think he's going to take it back to the house every single time. He's also, his Ohio State teammates and coaches have raved about his personality, say he's an old soul, just a natural leader, very mature for his age. I think if you would do this trade, I think it would be a home run. I would have no concerns taking a safety number 6 because this safety is Kyle Hamilton. I think he could be better than Kyle Hamilton. And we just saw how impactful Kyle Hamilton was in that Sunday night football game between the Ravens and the Steelers. If you were watching, the Steelers couldn't move the ball when Hamilton was playing. He gets hurt, opens up the entire offense for Pittsburgh. But this is the deal I would propose. And I was talking to our Browns report host here, and he said he would take this deal. And maybe it's a little much to move up, only 12 spots. But the Vikings attach their first round pick and Jordan Addison. You get pick number 6, you draft Caleb Downs. If I'm doing anything this offseason, and you are the Vikings, this might be at the top of my list. I'm curious to see what you guys have to say about this in the comments section. But let's talk about these draft targets now. Obviously, corner, massive need here for the Vikings. Isaiah Rodgers, Byron Murphy Jr. did not have great seasons. So let's talk about Mansoor Delane. This guy's got some swagger. He is a fantastic tackler. And I think in the Brian Flores system, he would excel because, even though he's not like a typical press man corner, I actually think he does better kind of playing off and just letting his instincts take over. Well, I mean, the amount of times that we have seen the Vikings, they line up 6, 7 guys, sometimes 8 guys on the line. They got their DBs playing at the sticks, and you got to have some elite closing speed. You got to have some great instincts. Mansoor Delane would fit that bill 110%. Will he be there at 18? TBD. But if he is, and that's the selection for the Vikings, I think we would all be very, very happy with that draft pick. Now, number 2, a guy who I'm really, really falling in love with. And if you guys are blessed enough to watch the Oregon game this weekend, just keep your eyes on number 18. This guy is a freak, and his name is Kenyon Sadiq. This guy is one of the most jacked dudes in college football. He is 6'2", 245 pounds, and his legs are absolutely massive. I mean, the thighs on this guy, I mean, you can see it in this photo right now. I mean, it's not showing his legs, but you guys can see his arms. Just a physical freak. And Oregon uses them in multiple ways. They throw screens to him. They throw tunnel screens. He's a great blocker. He can go over the middle of the field. Now, I highly doubt this guy will be there at 18. Maybe this is something the Vikings try to trade up to 12, trade up to 11 to try to nab this guy. But if you cut TJ Hawkinson and you pair up Sadiq, who's also a hell of a run blocker, and you get Sadiq, Josh Oliver with this improved offensive line, and you got Jefferson and Addison, and that's your 12 personnel next season, that would be an elite unit. Like that personnel grouping of Sadiq, Oliver, Addison, Jefferson, the quarterback, the running back, and that 5-man group of the offensive linemen, that would be tough to stop. Also, the Vikings would get more downhill, I think, with Sadiq. It would give them more of a physical feel offensively because you guys can probably see by this photo, this guy's a physical football player. Kenyon Sadiq, watch him during the college football playoff in the last 2 games for him. This guy's unbelievable. Even just go throw on his highlight tape. You throw on his highlight tape, this guy's hurdling everybody. In a 10-minute highlight tape, he tries to hurdle about 15 different defenders. So, Kenyon Sadiq, besides Caleb Downs, I think he would be number 2 for me in terms of my dream draft targets for the Vikings. But another guy that's getting a lot of buzz as of late is Ohio State inside linebacker. He even plays some little outside linebacker. That's Sonny Styles. This guy's big, 6'4", physical football player. Now, obviously, Ohio State losing to my guy Dylan's Miami Hurricanes, so a lot of their stock might be falling a little bit. But this guy was all over the football field in that game. This guy can fly around. He hits hard. He kind of reminds me of sleeping on his name right now. Had this compared Tremaine Edmonds, the Bears linebacker, kind of similar physical profiles. Very versatile in coverage as well. He also is a very good leader. His Ohio State teammates and coaches rave about him. And this guy's flying up draft boards as of late. This guy he would be awesome. And also, I think the Vikings, that's why I wanted them to do it last year in the draft. Like, give Flores more talent. If Flores stays as the defensive coordinator, your first-round pick, number 18, it has to go to defense. It has to. Because last year in the draft, drafted Donovan Jackson. He took Ty Fulton in the 3rd round. Just pandering to Kevin O'Connell. Here you go. Here's more. You want more? Here's more. Go get Flores, his guy. Lean more into the strength of this football team because the strength of this football team is the defense. So go get Brian Flores, that middle linebacker, Sonny Styles. But, hey, it's Black Monday, and the Vikings still have the same GM. Also, quick take here. I know we all wanted Kwesi probably fired. I think that's a consensus among Vikings fans. I think Kwesi not getting fired is a good sign that Flores is going to come back if he does not get a head coaching job. Because I don't think the Vikings wanted to fire Kwesi and then had to pay off his contract and also make Flores the highest paid defensive coordinator in the league. Maybe that's my drinking too much purple Kool-Aid take of the day. but I think this should be good insight unless Flores gets a head coaching job that he should be back. But draft's going to be big for the Vikes this year. They're in cap hell. They got to hit on a lot of these draft picks. You guys let me know, what's your confidence level in Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah? You think he can turn it around? Do you think he can learn from his mistakes? Scale it for me 1 to 10 down below in the comments section. Now we'll get to 2 more draft targets here in a second, but today's sponsor is Factor Meals, my favorite sponsor we have here at Vikings Now by Chat Sports. And if you guys head to factormeals.com/VikingsChat50off and plug in promo code VikingsChat50off, we'll hook you guys up with 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 whole year. And new year means big goals. And if you guys have no time to cook, well, Factor's got you, because Factor makes it easy with fully prepared meals designed by dietitians and crafted by chefs so you can eat well without the shopping or cooking. And I love Factor because they have no refined sugars, no artificial sweeteners, and no refined seed oils, all very, very healthy. And they have meals that fit your goals and schedule, healthier eating, calorie management, and protein. Factor does it all, and they have over 100 rotating weekly meals. I mean, I absolutely love the blackened salmon. I've had that multiple times, and if you guys try that, trust me, you'll like it. Also, the Texas Cheddar Burger, that's a fantastic one you see on screen right now. And if you guys head on over to factormeals.com/VikingsChat50off and use promo code VikingsChat50off, we'll hook you guys up with 50% off your first box, plus free breakfast for 1 year. Now, this offer is only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase. So make healthier eating easy with Factor. All right, here's a draft target I know a lot of Vikings fans are a fan of, and for right reason. This guy was one of the best players in college football this past season. Jeremiyah Love. Now, Jeremiyah Love is interesting to me because are the Vikings in a position to take a running back in the first round? I think you could argue yes. Like, clearly this team has a lot of talent on it, and this would be I think any team is taking a running back in the first round, it's a luxury pick. Like, I saw like CBS, they had a mock draft where I had the Saints taking Jeremiyah Love at pick number 8. I'm like, are the Saints in any position to take a running back in the top 10? Absolutely not. But those the Vikings are going 9-8, got a pretty complete team. If you want to just kind of have that extra cherry on top of this offense, like, Jeremiyah Love wouldn't be bad. I think this would also be a pick where, like, I wouldn't be nervous at all about him being a bust. I think he's a legit NFL running back. He's got a lot of potential to be a long starter in the NFL, but I would probably still say no in terms of the Vikes taking a running back in the first round, because is Kevin O'Connell going to change his ways? I don't think so. I don't think KOC will ever be a run-first offensive mind. So I'd probably say no on Jeremiyah Love, but if they took him, like, I wouldn't be mad. Like, this guy's going to be a stud. And the combination of Jeremiyah Love, Justin Jefferson would entice me a whole lot. But also, I don't think he's going to be there at pick 18. I think this guy's going to be a top 12 pick. Watch out for the Kansas City Chiefs taking him at pick number 9. But number 5 here, we're going to go Jermod McCoy, the Tennessee corner. Now, interesting prospect here. He's 6 foot, 193 pounds. This guy's young. He is 20 years old, and he had an interesting season at Tennessee. Graded out, pretty well throughout the season. He did have some bad games, but he is draft eligible, and he's a very physical corner as well, which I do appreciate. Obviously, in the Brian Flores, you got to be a physical corner. He's also lined up, mainly as an outside corner. So maybe this gives the Vikings some flexibility where if you take a guy like this, you could put Byron Murphy more in the slot. You can work in a guy like Isaiah Rodgers. This kid's got some swagger to him. I like him. I think he's more of a developmental prospect for the Vikes. Or I think they're also in the position where they need the players that will be day one impacts. But we'll see. I think he's another name to keep your eyes out on. But you guys let me know. Who do you want the Vikings to draft? I think the most realistic option for me would be Kenyon Sadiq, the Oregon tight end. You guys let me know your thoughts down below. Who do you want the Vikings to draft? We'll get on out of here. As always, let's go Vikes. Alrighty. Appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. So, Pat, you don't want to draft the center at all. That's more of a position of need for a young quarterback. Yeah, I mean, the center is definitely in need. I just think maybe you run it back with Ryan Kelly, maybe draft one in the later rounds. All right, appreciate all of you guys for tuning in today. Yeah, Eamon Worry. I know Eamon Worry's a stud. I wanted the Vikes to get him real bad. That's all right, though. That's all right. Seeps, you heard it from me. Gavin Bartholomew will break out next season. Is that the guy we're not talking about enough this offseason, Twisted Wizard, is Gavin Bartholomew. Pat, do you think B-Flow going to stay in Skull Nation? I don't think any teams that have head coach vacancies need a defensive-minded head coach. That includes Raiders. Head coach plays a bigger role in QB develop. Ask KO. I am leaning towards Brian Flores coming back, but the only thing is it just takes one owner to be like, I don't give a damn that he's suing the league. Also, that connection he has with Tom Brady and the Raiders organization. If Brian Flores does leave, I think it is for Las Vegas, which I'm a little concerned about. Stood at Pitt, but he got injured in training camp. I know. I remember after the draft, I was like, who the hell is Gavin Bartholomew? And I was watching his highlights, and he enticed me. Hawks killed with pick Eamon Worry. Yeah, the Vikings should have took Eamon Worry at 24. I like Donovan Jackson, but Eamon Worry's a stud, man. I actually want to see how Donovan Jackson ended up grading out to end the season. Middle of the pack across the board. Not terrible. Trade back. That's always an option. Guess we'll just get Tyler Linderbaum. I don't know if the Vikings have money like that for a center. Maybe they do. Can always make it work. Top what guard is Donovan Jackson? I mean, PFF graded him out as 44th out of 80. Loveland would have been a nice pick. I was hyping up these two tight ends like crazy. Loveland and Tyler Warren are both dogs. I mean, because I remember I watched more college tape on J.J. McCarthy. I watched every single throw he had. And the amount of times Loveland would just pop. Like, I was like, this kid's going to be a stud, man. I think McCarthy has the potential to be really good. I agree. He's 22 years old. He just feels a little immature to me. See what happens. But, hey, we're going to get on out of here. Appreciate all of you guys for tuning in today. We'll be back live on the channel this Thursday, probably around the same time, maybe at 4 p.m. Central Time. So I appreciate all of you guys. Tommy Wood, shout out to you. Dan Mad, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you, Jesse Darby. Yeah, Jesse Darby. I agree with that. I'm so bored. Shout out to you, Big O. Appreciate you. We're gonna get on out of here. Have a good one, Jack Jackson. Even though your Shador takes are ludicrous, have a good one, my friend, and we'll get on out of here. As always, Skull Vikes.